Commander Alec Campbell stared at the view screen with a mix of wonder and unease. The strange symbols etched into the asteroids glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. He had never seen anything like it in his 15 years with the Earth Alliance Space Force. "Any idea what we're looking at, Olivia?" he asked, turning to his science officer. Olivia Reeves adjusted her glasses and studied the readings on her tablet. Her brow furrowed as she swiped through the data. "They're definitely artificial, sir. The energy patterns are too regular to be natural. But the composition, it's unlike any material we've cataloged before." The bridge of the scout ship Horizon fell silent as the crew took in the sight. They had been mapping this remote asteroid belt at the edge of explored space when they first spotted the unusual markings. What started as a routine mission had suddenly become something much more significant. Daniel Murphy, the communications specialist, leaned forward at his station. "Commander, I think they might be some kind of language. The patterns repeat with variations, similar to how sentences work." Campbell nodded. "Can you decode it?" "Not without more time and data," Murphy replied, his eyes never leaving the symbols. "But sir, I strongly recommend we document everything and call in the xenolinguistics team. These could be important." The commander tapped his fingers against the armrest of his chair. Protocol dictated that any sign of alien intelligence be reported immediately to Earth Alliance Command. He opened a secure channel. "EA Command, this is Scout Ship Horizon. We've discovered what appears to be artificial markings of non-human origin at coordinates 227 to 49438, requesting instructions." The response came faster than expected. General Peter Baldwin's stern face appeared on the communication screen. "Campbell, send us all your data immediately. Do not approach the markings further until a military assessment team arrives." Within 12 hours, a fleet vessel carrying a specialized team docked with the Horizon. Major Samantha Wright led the group of scientists and military personnel onto the bridge. "Commander Campbell," she said with a brief nod, "we'll take it from here." Campbell introduced Wright to his science team. "Olivia has been analyzing the energy outputs, and Daniel has some theories about the markings possibly being communicative in nature." Wright barely acknowledged them. Instead, she unfolded a holographic display showing the asteroid field and the symbols. "Our analysis suggests these could be territorial markers," she explained, "possibly a claim on this sector by an unknown species. Command views this as a potential threat to Earth's expansion interests." "A threat?" Daniel Murphy couldn't hide his disbelief. "With all due respect, Major, we have no evidence these are threatening. They could be scientific data, navigational markers, or even art. Or they could be warning us away from their territory," Wright countered. "Earth Alliance isn't taking chances. Our orders are to remove them." Olivia gasped. "Remove them? But we haven't even studied them properly." These could be the first concrete evidence of another intelligent species. Wright's expression remained unchanged. "The decision has been made. Removal begins at 800 tomorrow." After the meeting, Campbell found Murphy in the observation deck, staring at the glowing symbols. "This is wrong, sir," Murphy said quietly. "We should be preserving and studying these, not destroying them." Campbell sighed. "I agree with you, but orders are orders. Sometimes orders are wrong," Murphy replied. "These symbols, they feel important, like they're trying to tell us something. What if we're making a terrible mistake?" Campbell placed a hand on Murphy's shoulder. "Document everything you can before tomorrow. At least we'll have the records." As he left the observation deck, Campbell couldn't shake the feeling that Murphy was right. The symbols pulsed in the darkness of space, their blue light seeming almost desperate now, like a warning they couldn't understand. And tomorrow, they would erase them from existence. The morning arrived too quickly. Major Samantha Wright stood at the command station of her vessel, the Eraser, as her team prepared the specialized energy weapons designed to remove the alien symbols. "All systems ready, Major," reported Lieutenant Kyle Bennett, her weapons officer. "Energy levels at optimal range." Samantha nodded. Begin the removal process. On the horizon, Commander Campbell, Olivia Reeves, and Daniel Murphy watched through the view screen. None of them spoke as the Eraser moved into position near the first asteroid. A beam of intense white light shot from the military vessel, striking the first symbol. The blue glow of the marking flared brightly, almost as if in protest, before slowly fading away. Where the symbol had been, only bare rock remained. Energy fluctuation detected, Olivia said, studying her readings. That's odd. It's almost as if. As if what? Campbell asked. As if something responded when the symbol was erased. She frowned. Like it sent out a pulse of some kind. On the Eraser, engineer Frank Pearson noticed similar readings on his equipment. Strange energy spikes appeared each time a symbol was erased. Major, I'm getting unusual feedback from the targets, he reported. Interference from the energy weapons? Samantha asked. Frank shook his head. I don't think so. The pattern is too organized. It's almost like the symbols are sending out signals as they're being destroyed. Samantha considered this for a moment. Can it harm our equipment or personnel? No, ma'am. Energy levels are minimal. Then continue the operation. Back on the horizon, Lieutenant Laura Bennett, who specialized in alien languages, worked frantically at her station. She had arrived with the military team, but didn't share their eagerness to destroy the symbols. Daniel, help me record everything, she said to Murphy. I'm taking detailed scans of each symbol before it's erased. Daniel joined her, his fingers flying across the control panel. We've documented about 60% so far. It's not enough, Laura said, her voice tight with frustration. These patterns, they're complex. I think they might be more than just symbols. The way they're arranged across the asteroids, it's deliberate, like they're meant to be seen from multiple angles. On the view screen, another symbol vanished in a flash of light. Only 3 remain now. Commander, Olivia called out, her voice rising with concern. The energy readings are getting stronger with each erasure. Whatever signal is being sent, it's increasing in power. Campbell turned to his communications officer. Can you trace where the signal might be going? Daniel shook his head. It's not like any transmission I've ever seen. It doesn't use any frequency we can track. Another symbol disappeared. Frank Pearson on the Eraser was now deeply troubled by his readings. Major Wright, I strongly recommend we pause the operation. These energy patterns, they're forming a coherent sequence. I think the symbols might be interconnected. We have our orders, Pearson, Samantha replied firmly. 2 more to go. The second-to-last symbol flared and faded. As it did, all instruments on both ships briefly flickered. What just happened? Campbell demanded. Power surge, Olivia replied. But it didn't come from the Eraser. It came from the last symbol. Everyone watched as the Eraser positioned itself for the final erasure. The last symbol seemed to pulse more rapidly now, its blue light almost blinding. Major, please reconsider, Frank pleaded over the comm. Something's not right. Samantha hesitated for just a moment, then hardened her resolve. Fire. The white beam struck the final symbol. Instead of simply fading like the others, this one exploded in a brilliant flash of blue light that temporarily blinded everyone watching. When their vision cleared, the asteroid field looked ordinary. No trace remained of the mysterious markings. For a long moment, an eerie silence filled the void of space. All instruments were quiet. No energy readings. Nothing. Then Daniel spoke what everyone was thinking. I hope we haven't just made a terrible mistake. 3 weeks passed since the removal of the alien symbols. Life in the Earth Alliance returned to normal. Reports about the strange markings were filed away, classified as a minor scientific curiosity. Even those who had witnessed their destruction began to focus on other missions and responsibilities. Captain William Harper stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance flagship U.S. Dauntless, reviewing routine patrol data. A career military man with 30 years of service, Harper had seen almost everything space had to offer. Almost. Captain, called out his sensor officer, Jack Palmer. I'm detecting something unusual at the edge of the solar system. Harper looked up from his reports. Define unusual, Palmer. A large object just appeared near Neptune's orbit. Sir. No warp signature, no approach trajectory. It's just there. Harper moved to the sensor station. Show me. The screen displayed a massive object, easily 10 times the size of the Dauntless. Its shape defied conventional design, neither sleek nor angular, but somehow fluid, as if constantly shifting while remaining solid. Is it a ship? Harper asked. Unknown, sir, but it's moving now, headed toward Earth. Current speed suggests it will reach our orbit in under 6 hours. Harper's expression remained calm, but his voice carried newfound urgency. Alert Earth Alliance Command. All stations to yellow alert. Within an hour, every available Earth defense ship positioned itself in the path of the approaching object. Scientists and military analysts debated its nature and purpose. Was it a ship? A weapon? Something else entirely? Dr. Nickel Adams, the Dauntless's xenobiologist, studied the visual data with intense focus. Captain, look at these structures along its hull, she said, pointing to what appeared to be transparent sections. They resemble aquatic environments. If I had to guess, I'd say this vessel was designed for a water-based species. Harper nodded. Interesting, but doesn't tell us if they're friendly. Communications Officer Linda Grant spoke up. Captain, we've been broadcasting standard greeting messages on all frequencies. No response. The object continued its steady approach, ignoring all attempts at communication. Earth's defense grid activated, ready to intercept if necessary. Millions watched from the planet below as news feeds showed the massive vessel drawing closer. Sir, Palmer reported, it's slowing down. The alien vessel decelerated as it reached the defense perimeter, moving past the warships as if they weren't there. No weapons fired. The Earth Alliance commanders hesitated, unwilling to provoke what could be a devastating response. Harper watched as the Dauntless's most powerful scan beams simply passed through the vessel without registering internal details. Their shielding technology is beyond anything we've developed, he murmured. The alien ship finally stopped in Earth orbit, positioning itself directly above the North American continent. For several hours, it simply hovered there, silent and imposing. Global panic spread. Emergency measures were enacted worldwide. Military forces stood ready. Civilians prepared for the worst. Then, without warning, a signal came through on all communication devices across the planet. Televisions, phones, computers, and military channels. They're broadcasting, Linda announced. It's being translated somehow into all Earth languages simultaneously. A holographic image appeared on the Dauntless's main screen. The figure was vaguely humanoid but clearly alien, tall and slender with multiple tentacle-like appendages where arms would be. Its skin had a bluish sheen that rippled like water. Large, dark eyes dominated a face that seemed both wise and ancient. People of Earth, the alien spoke, its voice somehow both gentle and terrifying in its authority. I am Ambassador Cole of the Valari Collective. We have come seeking answers for a crime committed against the galactic community. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. 3 of your planetary cycles ago, your kind destroyed sacred markers in Sector 227 to 49438. These were not mere symbols, but critical navigational beacons established by the ancients millennia before your species learned to make fire. Harper felt a chill run down his spine. He had read the reports about Commander Campbell's discovery and the subsequent removal of alien markings. The consequences of your actions have been dire, the ambassador continued. And now, you must answer for what you have done. Silence filled the chambers of the Earth Alliance Council. The holographic image of Ambassador Cole of the Valari floated above the central table, its tentacles moving in gentle waves. 24 hours had passed since the alien arrival, and the planet's leaders had gathered to face the accusation. General Peter Baldwin, who had ordered the removal of the symbols, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Next to him sat Commander Alec Campbell, Major Samantha Wright, and Daniel Murphy, all called to explain their involvement. "We request clarification," said President Julia Morgan, her voice steady despite her fear. "What exactly were these markers we removed?" The ambassador's large eyes blinked slowly. "They were part of the beacon network, established over 50,000 of your years ago by the first ones. They guide all spacefaring civilizations through the dangerous currents of space." A projection appeared, showing a vast web of blue points stretching across the galaxy. One section now had a dark void where the lights should be. "This gap is what you created," Cole explained. "Without these beacons, ships cannot safely navigate this sector. The energy patterns they emitted stabilize the fabric of spacetime in regions where it grows thin." Daniel Murphy leaned forward. "You mean they weren't just signs? They were actually doing something physical to space itself?" "Correct," Cole replied. "They maintained safe passages through areas where normal travel would be fatal." President Morgan glanced at General Baldwin. "We had no way of knowing their purpose. We believe they might be territorial markers from a potentially hostile species." The Valari ambassador's tentacles stiffened. "The records from your own ship show that this human," he gestured toward Daniel, "advised caution and study rather than destruction. His concerns were documented and ignored." Daniel looked down as all eyes turned to him. "Since your actions," Cole continued, 17 vessels from various civilizations have been lost in the void where the beacons once stood. 342 beings gone forever." Gasps echoed around the chamber. Major Wright stood up, her face pale. I followed orders. We couldn't have known." "Ignorance does not resurrect the dead," Cole stated simply. "For millennia, young species have discovered these beacons. All others approached with caution and reverence. Only humans chose destruction before understanding." Commander Campbell rose next. "Ambassador, what can we do to make this right? There must be some way to fix what we've broken." The holographic aliens seemed to consider this. "The beacons can be restored, but the process requires precise knowledge of their original configuration and energy signatures. This knowledge was contained within the beacons themselves. Knowledge you destroyed." Frank Pearson, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. "I recorded unusual energy patterns during the removal process. Would that data help?" For the first time, a hint of something like hope flickered in the ambassador's expression. "Perhaps, but it would be incomplete at best." Laura Bennett raised her hand. "I documented about 80% of the visual patterns before they were erased. Between my records and Frank's energy readings, could we piece something together?" The Valari was silent for a long moment. "It is possible. Difficult, but possible." President Morgan stood up. "Ambassador Cole, we acknowledge our mistake. On behalf of humanity, I offer our deepest apologies for the losses our actions cause. We will commit every resource to restoring these beacons." "Words are easily spoken," Cole replied. "The Valari Collective and the other 17 civilizations in the Galactic Consortium await actions, not promises." The ambassador's image expanded, showing the vast alien ship orbiting Earth. "You have 30 of your days to begin the restoration process. If you fail, Earth will be declared a quarantined world. No contact, no trade, no assistance from any spacefaring civilization. You will be alone, as are the families of those lost in the void because of your actions." With that, the hologram vanished, leaving the chamber in silence once more. President Morgan turned to the group from the horizon and the eraser. "You heard the ambassador. You got us into this. Now find a way to fix it." The Earth Alliance converted an entire research facility in Nevada into what they now called Beacon Central. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel worked around the clock, analyzing the partial data they had on the destroyed symbols. Dr. Gregory Hudson, Earth's leading diplomat in extraterrestrial affairs, paced nervously outside the Valari ship. The aliens had agreed to a meeting to discuss the progress made in the 5 days since their ultimatum. Remember, he told his small team, we must show genuine effort and humility. No excuses. The team included Olivia Reeves, Laura Bennett, and Frank Pearson, the 3 people with the most direct knowledge of the beacons. A blue light surrounded them, and suddenly they found themselves inside the alien vessel. Unlike human ships with their metal corridors and control panels, the Valari ship seemed almost organic. The walls pulsed with a soft light, and what looked like water flowed through transparent tubes. Ambassador Cole floated toward them in what appeared to be a personal water bubble. Dr. Hudson, you requested this audience. Speak. Gregory nodded respectfully. Ambassador, we've made progress understanding the beacons. We've combined Lieutenant Bennett's visual documentation with Engineer Pearson's energy readings to create a partial model. Laura stepped forward with a tablet showing a rotating 3D model of one of the symbols. The symbols appear to be more than just markers. They seem to be a form of technology that actively maintains space-time stability. Cole's tentacles moved in what might have been surprise. You have determined this in only 5 days. We work quickly when motivated, Olivia said, but we've hit a wall. The model is incomplete. We're missing critical data about how the symbols interact with each other. Frank added, the energy patterns suggest the beacons formed a network, with each symbol amplifying and stabilizing the others. Without understanding that relationship, any restoration attempt might fail. The ambassador was silent for a long moment. What exactly are you asking of us? Gregory took a deep breath. We need help. The knowledge we destroyed. We need the Valari or the Consortium to share what they know about the beacons. You destroyed ancient knowledge, caused multiple deaths, and now ask for the very information you erased. Cole's voice remained calm, but his skin darkened to a deeper blue. Yes, Gregory admitted. We made a terrible mistake, but we're trying to fix it. The ambassador moved closer to the humans. Dr. Hudson, let me be clear. Many in the consortium voted to simply quarantine Earth permanently. Some suggested more severe punishments. Gregory felt a chill run down his spine. The fact that some of your kind advised against destroying the beacons is the only reason Earth has this chance, Cole continued. He waved a tentacle, and a holographic display appeared, showing Daniel Murphy's recorded protests before the symbols were destroyed. This human understood caution, yet his warnings were ignored by your military leaders. The ambassador turned to Laura. You documented the symbols out of respect for what you did not understand. That, too, speaks well of some humans. Another wave of his tentacle changed the display to show 17 different alien species. These are the civilizations that lost ships because of your actions. 3 races lost their first and only deep space vessels, setbacks that will delay their entry into the galactic community by decades. The humans stared at the images in silence. The consortium has decided, Cole finally said. We will provide limited technical assistance, not because you deserve it, but because the beacons must be restored for the safety of all. Relief washed over Gregory's face. Thank you, Ambassador. Do not thank me yet, Cole warned. The restoration will be difficult and dangerous. The void left by the beacons grows more unstable each day, and once restored, Earth will still face judgment from the consortium. As the meeting ended and the humans prepared to return to Earth, Gregory turned to his team. It's a start, but we need our best people on this. Laura nodded. I know exactly who we need to lead this mission. The ship felt smaller than Commander Alec Campbell remembered. He stood in the cockpit of the Horizon, now modified with alien technology provided by the Valari. The mission ahead weighed heavily on his mind. Pre-flight checks complete, said Olivia Reeves from the science station. Her fingers moved quickly over the new controls. Alec nodded. Status report. Daniel Murphy looked up from his communications panel. All systems green. The Valari translation matrix is online. Beacon prototypes secured, reported Laura Bennett. She had spent the last 2 weeks working directly with Valari scientists to recreate the ancient symbols. Frank Pearson monitored the ship's new power systems. Energy level stable. The core is running at 98% efficiency. The final member of the crew, Professor Elijah Martinez, studied complex equations on his tablet. As Earth's leading quantum physicist, he had been brought in to help understand the way the beacons interacted with space-time. "Commander," Elijah said, "I've run the simulations again. This will work, but our timing must be perfect. The void is highly unstable now." Alec checked the time. 2 hours until launch. Any questions? No one spoke, but the tension in the air was thick. They all understood the stakes. If they failed, Earth would be cut off from the galactic community forever. On the launch pad, President Morgan addressed the crew one last time through the video link. "You carry the hopes of humanity with you," she said. "We wish we could send more ships, but the Valari were clear. One ship, one chance." After final goodbyes, the Horizon lifted off. The journey to the asteroid belt where they had first discovered the symbols took only hours with the enhanced engines. When they arrived, Alec felt a chill as he looked at the now ordinary asteroids. No trace remained of the glowing blue symbols they had so carelessly destroyed. "I can feel the instability," Elijah said quietly. "The fabric of space is thin here, like tissue paper ready to tear." Laura brought up the holographic display, showing the placement of the original beacons. "We need to position the new beacons in exactly the same configuration." For the next 6 hours, they worked methodically. Frank and Olivia used small drones to attach the prototype beacons to the asteroids. Each one had to be placed with perfect precision. As they worked, Elijah monitored the growing distortions in space. "The void is reacting to our presence," he warned. "We need to hurry." Just as the last beacon was being positioned, an alarm sounded. "Spatial rupture forming," Olivia called out. 300 kilometers off the port bow. Through the view screen, they watched as space itself seemed to tear open. The black void beyond was not like normal space. It was complete nothingness, a tear in reality itself. "The final beacon," Laura said urgently. "It needs to be activated now." Frank's voice came through the comm. "The drone can't get close enough. The distortion is pushing it back." Alec made a quick decision. "I'll take the shuttle. Guide me in." Despite protests from his crew, Alec boarded the small craft. With Daniel guiding him from the horizon, he navigated through the increasingly unstable region. "You're almost there," Daniel said through the static. 10 meters. 5. The shuttle shook violently as the void pulled at it. Alec could see the tear in space growing larger by the second. With one final push, he reached the asteroid and attached the beacon. His hand hovered over the activation switch. "Everyone on the horizon," he said into the comm. "The math on this is solid, right?" 95% solid, Elijah replied. Alec smiled grimly. "I've taken worse odds." He pressed the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the beacons began to glow with the same blue light they had witnessed months ago. The final beacon, the one Alec had just placed, flared brightest of all. A pulse of energy shot from it to the next beacon, then to the next, forming a web of light across the asteroid field. As the energy reached the spatial tear, Alec watched in awe as the void began to close. The shuttle rocked violently in the backlash. "It's working," he shouted over the comm. "The network is stabilizing the region." But his celebration was cut short as the shuttle's engines failed, caught in the final wave of energy from the closing void. "Commander Campbell, do you copy?" Daniel's voice crackled through the comm system. No response came from Alec's shuttle as it drifted silently near the asteroid. "We need to get him out of there," Olivia said, her voice tight with worry. Frank checked the sensors. "The spatial distortions are still too strong. We can't risk the ship." Just as hope began to fade, one of the newly placed beacons pulsed with an unusually bright light. A beam shot out from it. enveloping Alec's shuttle in a soft blue glow. "What's happening?" Laura asked, staring at the view screen. Elijah studied his readings with wide eyes. "The beacons, they're responding to him. They're stabilizing the area around his shuttle." Slowly, the small craft began to move toward the horizon, guided by the blue light. When it reached the ship's docking bay, the crew rushed to help their commander. They found Alec unconscious but alive. As they moved him to the medical bay, his eyes fluttered open. "Did it work?" he asked weakly. Olivia smiled. "Yes. The beacons are active. The void is closing." Back on Earth, 3 days later, Ambassador Cole stood before the Earth Alliance Council. The mood was tense as everyone awaited the Valari's judgment. "The restoration of the beacon network has been verified," Cole announced. "The void has been sealed, and safe passage through the sector has been reestablished." President Morgan stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, we thank the Valari and the consortium for their assistance. We have learned a harsh but necessary lesson." Cole's tentacles moved in a pattern that might have been agreement. "The question remains, what place should Earth have in the galactic community?" A murmur passed through the council chamber. "The consortium has deliberated at length," Cole continued. "Some still advocate for isolation. Others see potential in humanity." The ambassador turned to where Alec Campbell and his crew stood. They had been honored as heroes upon their return, though Alec still moved slowly from his injuries. When Commander Campbell activated the final beacon, something unexpected occurred, Cole said. The beacons did not merely reform their network. They expanded it. A holographic display appeared, showing the beacon network now stretching further into Earth's solar system. "This has never happened before," Cole explained. "The ancient beacons have always maintained their original configuration, yet they responded to human presence, creating new pathways." Captain Steve Rodriguez, recently appointed as Earth's representative to the consortium, stepped forward. "What does this mean, Ambassador?" "It means," Cole replied, "that the beacons have accepted humanity. The first ones who created them programmed them to respond only to species they deemed worthy of joining the galactic community." A wave of surprise and relief washed through the chamber. "Therefore," Cole announced, "the consortium extends an invitation to Earth, not as a quarantined world, but as a probationary member." The room erupted in applause and cheers. President Morgan gratefully accepted the invitation. As the formal ceremony concluded, Daniel Murphy found himself approached by Ambassador Cole. "Your initial caution regarding the beacons impressed many in the consortium," the Valari said. "The Earth Alliance has nominated you as their first ambassador to our gathering." Daniel looked stunned. "Me? But I'm just a communications specialist." "You communicated respect for the unknown," Cole replied. "That is the first quality any diplomat must possess." 1 month later, Daniel stood on the observation deck of the consortium's massive space station. Representatives from over 30 different civilizations moved around him, each unique in form and culture. From this vantage point, he could see the beacon network stretching across the stars, the blue lights forming pathways between worlds. Earth's light now shone among them. What had begun as a terrible mistake had led to humanity's acceptance into a community larger than they had ever imagined. The beacons they had once destroyed now guided them toward a future among the stars. As Daniel prepared for his first official address to the consortium, he couldn't help but reflect on the lesson they had all learned. Sometimes, the greatest wisdom comes from acknowledging what you don't understand and showing it proper respect.